So, are you saying that... So, how do I put this? I have a lot of anger towards men because I get a lot of sexual projections from them.
Yeah.
So would that mean that it would be beneficial for me to go out or something, like to a club or something, and then feel the feelings there, or sort of...
Let's look what's happening in terms of what's going on with these interactions, because the whole picture, not just the little picture, which seems to be the sexual projection from one person.
Yeah.
You've got the man... Whoop, that one's not very good. You've got the man on earth, right? He sees you and he projects a sexual projection at you, right? So there's a feeling going on inside of you at that point. But before he even projects a sexual projection at you, he is surrounded by other men in the spirit world who are constantly looking for women to project sexually at.
Yep.
Right? And they get that emotion satisfied by doing it through this man. So he's surrounded by men who are looking for women on the... And you see this walking along the street sometimes. You can see the men scanning every woman. Many of you women have felt this, right? You're walking along the street and you notice this man and he's just scanning, he's undressing every woman basically who walks in front of him. But what's going on there is these spirits are heavily influencing him to do that, right? And it's an unhealed emotion within him. And now it could be to do with sexual matters, but often it's not. Often it's to do with childhood issues with regard to his mother and the fact that he feels disapproved of by his mother and a lot of other issues with regard to his mother. That's the real thing going on in many cases, but he doesn't understand that. And you've got this group of spirits in the spirit world who can't have sex because where they are, there's no women to have sex with because they're in this projection state that most women are repelled by, and so there's no women in the same location. Does that make sense? In the spirit world.
Yep.
And so they hang around this man waiting for opportunities to project at women. Now inside of me, I've got issues with, inside of yourself I'm saying here, you've got issues with anger at men. But just one thing, you said it's because they sexually project at you. Now, is it because of that?
Probably not.
Okay. It has to be something related to childhood. Now, it could be that your dad sexually projected at you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or your dad used sexual projection somehow to control you. Or it could be that your mum had anger with men, and that's the reason why you have anger.
Yeah,
There's lots of different causal reasons, right? So I have a causal emotion inside of me. I'm the woman, let's say, and I have causal emotions inside of me that cause me to be angry at men.
And then, so I would also have women who are angry at men.
Not only will you have women that are angry at men, but you'll also have some men who are angry at women for being angry at men surrounding you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Awesome.
Okay. So there's your group of that's your group hanging around you, right?
Woohoo.
Now, what are they looking for? They're looking for men who they can see typify the person you're angry with. Does that make sense? And they will seek them out, just like the spirits here seeking out women that they can sexually project at. Can you see, and that's why you'll notice every sexual projection that comes your way.
Yeah.
Right, because you've got these women constantly saying, see, there's another one, there's another one, see, there's another one, look at them, all the men are bastards, right? Right? And that's their set of beliefs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's their set of emotional beliefs that they're holding on to. So there's a lot going on, right? This is all going on at the same time. Now, how do we deal with this? Now, we know that anger is an emotion that we choose to feel so that we feel powerful, right? We want to feel powerful, and so we choose anger, because in reality we are afraid of something inside of us. Something inside of me at the childhood level. So, what can I do with this from an emotional perspective? Well, what I can do, firstly, is start dealing with the fact that I'm actually afraid when I'm angry with men. So when I'm walking down the street and I get a sexual projection from men, and I feel, actually there's a feeling of fear about this. This feels very unsafe, doesn't it? What will this man do? If there were no laws, what would he do? He might even consider raping me if there were no laws, right? So that's going to trigger a lot of fears in me, right? There's some fears that are going to come up there. And under those fears are the causal emotions that attract the event in the first place. The other thing that we can do is start addressing the issue with the spirits that are around me. So if I'm a medium or a person who can feel these spirits with me, I can start talking to them about how they feel. Because if I talk to them about how they feel, there's a high likelihood that my feelings and their feelings are going to be very similar, and it's going to actually heighten my feelings and help me connect to my causal emotion. Can you see that? Now, the other day I did this a month ago or so now. I had two men spirits with me who basically believe that every woman is mercenary. Mercenary. Every woman basically only gives you things to get something from you. That was their belief. When I started feeling their emotions, I started writing and feeling their emotions and writing. I really connected to a lot of those emotions inside of myself. Because in my life, that's how many women have treated me. Does that make sense? And I started really connecting with a lot of those emotions. In the process of connecting to those emotions, I started releasing them. And in the process of releasing them, there was less of a connection between me and those men. And also, those men started to feel their emotions too. Does that make sense? And in the process of feeling their emotions, they finished up leaving me. Okay? Just through that interaction. So does that answer your question in terms of what's actually going on? And the key is actually getting into this state. And Mary, yep, you want to say?
So maybe instead of actually putting myself in a position to try to trigger myself, just sort of go with my law of attraction normally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I add a little bit? Because
Yeah,
I have a lot of experience with this very situation. And for me, the big thing was looking at the anger that I felt was justified, which you have that feeling inside of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And once I could look at, I really had to feel emotionally about what my anger does, even if it is to people who I feel are perpetrating something against me. So I did a lot of work on my anger. And your law of attraction will bring you the things that you're ready for. Like if you get all dressed up and go out to a club right now, you'll just come home really, really angry. As you are exactly now.
And I haven't been out since I've been on this path. Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure I haven't, yeah.
Damn the path.
That was good, I don't want to go out.
Don't have any fun anymore. I know too much about
I draw cartoons now instead.
Yeah.
But I also had to be really honest about myself in these interactions.
Yeah.
And my own willingness to... What used to happen with me is that I would receive sexual projections from men. I'd be very angry about how men view me, how I'm treated as a woman. But I also had to be really honest with myself about how much I would allow myself to give men small amounts of sexual energy in order, it's a very fear-based thing that I used to do. Yeah. I would never give a guy a come on ever, but I might be really especially nice to them and, play along with them, because underneath I was and the place I'm at now is very afraid of men and their sexual projections, because I don't feel anger is a defence anymore, and I don't want to give anyone any sexual energy apart from my soulmate. And now I'm starting to hit into fear. I'm not even to the grief yet, but it's been a really gradual process for me. And I have done a lot of talking with spirits who've been with me as well.
And if I can just illustrate what was happening for Mary, is that her fear was about men's sexual projection. She felt a strong feeling of being unsafe. So many of you women feel this, right? Whenever a man sexually projects at you, there's a really strong inside feeling of like, I'm unsafe here, you know, I've got to do something to get this situation back in control.
Can I just say that I wasn't even aware of that feeling within me. I was either angry or I was playing along without even really being conscious of what the whole exchange was about. And it's only as I work through those different things that I can now feel the terror that I have about men's sexual projection.
Yeah, I didn't realise the fear until just before when you were talking about, you know, if a man is projecting sexually, I might feel like he would want to rape me or whatever. And, but I obviously shut that down.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, so.
Well, it's not a very pleasant feeling to feel, of course.
No.
And so we have a tendency to shut down those feelings. And instead, and what many women have learnt to do as a result is to barter sexually in order to feel safe. So in other words, if I give the man a little bit of sexual energy, hopefully that'll make him go away. Does that make sense? Hopefully that'll make him get himself under control, and hopefully that'll make him feel like, you know, he's all right and everything will be all right, and we'll calm the whole situation down, you see? And so oftentimes we get drawn into giving something we don't even really want to give because we're just feeling unsafe. The key is to feel the unsafe, to really feel the unsafe, because you'll connect with the grief of what's underneath that feeling. Now, for Mary, it's been some first century experiences about her different times she was raped and hurt by men. And for many people, it will be related to childhood events that occurred that they felt very unsafe sexually in. Or oftentimes in our childhood, we can actually see spirits who want to sexually interfere with us. And even though they may not do it, we can still see them because we're children who can see things very easily generally. Or it could be that we have been abused sexually, and we also, and by the way, in almost every sexual abuse instance, spirits are involved. Spirits are influencing the people who are sexually abusing you. And so there's a lot of fear-based type of things that need to be faced. And then underneath that, of course, a whole series of grieving things to do. So can you see, the main thing is to see the relationship of what's going on, and then just allow the law of attraction. So still, like I say to Mary, don't stop dressing down, darling. Let yourself dress like how you want to dress, you know.
I actually dress very boringly.
As a result.
Yeah, and I didn't realise that until probably just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't put any effort really into what I look
appearance,
like. Yeah, because I don't want to get that extra attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is just connect to your own desires to feel good about yourself and allow yourself to do that. And then just allow the normal law of attraction to bring you the events. And then firstly start to allow yourself to feel the fear and then the underlying grief. But also allow yourself to start feeling the feelings of these women who are with you who have the same emotion.
Okay.
Right? And allow yourself to start connecting here, not at the anger level, but at the fear and the grieving levels.
And so for me to get out of feeling the anger, is that something that I can just sort of choose to do, or do I need to work, like, do I need to actually process that anger?
We feel anger because we do not want to feel the fear. So the first thing to address is, why don't I want to feel the fear? What am I so afraid of with this fear? Am I afraid it's going to overcome me? Why can't I handle my fear, in other words? And when you allow yourself to work through that emotion, you'll get to a place where you allow yourself to feel your fear. And that's a much more powerful place for you. And it's also, by the way, a much more powerful place in terms of your connection with the spirits around you. Yep. Because now these spirits are not influencing you in this area. They're now connecting more to this fear. In other words, they will feel their fear along with you, and that'll help you feel your fear even further. Okay. And then when you connect to the grief, they will feel their grief along with you, which will help you both release your causal emotion. And once that happens, you'll find that there will be no fear in you, and you'll be able to walk along the street, and actually there'll be less projections at you as well, because this group of men are looking for women who are afraid sexually in order to project that, because that's what they get off on. They love that. They love to pick up a woman who they can project sexually at and really feel this strong sexual projection at, because what they get off on is feeling the woman feel a bit afraid, and you know, it just heightens their emotions about all of that. Does that make sense? And the reason why they want that is because when they were little, they felt powerless with women and they want to get back at women as a result of that.
Okay, thank you.
So once you understand the dynamics of what's happening, you can start to actually see how important dealing with your own emotion is. Yeah?